arm drag. Whoa! This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Full 2 arm bar.
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C-Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
So does Rule. Yeah, they do.
Full 3. The moss-covered, 3-handle family Gradunzo.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
What's up, everybody, on a special Monday night, December 17th, 2012. This is the RCWR Show. As always, of course, Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. We're joining you right now as we're seeing Raw in progress. We're going to try to stay with it for just a couple of minutes to see if this is going to play out within the next 120 seconds. If it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer, we may take a commercial break, where the main event of the night saw Dolph Ziggler teaming up with AJ Lee to take on the team of John Cena and Vicky Guerrero. Yes, hell must have frozen over. As we just saw Dolph Ziggler, he tried to go for a pin on Cena. Cena kicked out. Ziggler is now doing his beautiful series of elbow drops to the upper body of Cena. Cocky as usual. Gotta love that heel Ziggler on Twitter, folks. Ziggler, too much time he's wasting right here. You got to stay on top of John Cena, Ziggler. You're giving him that opportunity that he needs to get that second breath of air to be able to come right back, as Ziggler just tried to look for a side kick. Cena was able to dodge that, as he was able to counter with a STF that he has applied to the neck of Dolph Ziggler right now. Dolph Ziggler, he is crawling for the ropes. Can he get to it in time? He is almost there. But wait, what is this? We see AJ Lee. She's come out, and she is with one strong-looking black guy. Based on his ring attire, looks like he might be from Africa or something. I'm not kidding here, folks. This big black guy, whoever he is, he's getting in the ring, and he just laid out John Cena. Oh, and now he has John Cena over his shoulder. Oh, and he just laid him out. Did a modified version of a flapjack from what I'm able to see right here. I do not know who this guy is. I'm pretty sure that those of you that is checking this out right now, you'll probably give us the info. I will try to have that update for you guys as we are in progress right now. But whoever this guy is, pretty damn impressive, as AJ Lee is just skipping around this guy, where the question is being asked by these announcers here, Jim Ross, JBL, Michael Cole. Who is this man who obviously has aligned himself with AJ Lee, as Dolph Ziggler just continues to look on? And that wrapped up tonight's 3-hour epic edition of Monday Night Raw. It's not every day we can kick back and say, man, Raw was pretty enjoyable for the whole 3 hours. But, yeah, it was actually a first in a long time since Raw has done this experiment of 3 hours. All right, as always, we have the chat room. It's loaded up right now at blogtalkradio.com. Feel free to jump in there as soon as you guys get a free moment. You can also interact with us by hitting us up on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. You can also interact with us on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. While you're at it, take the time out, like our page, as we always upload a lot of fresh content on a daily basis. You'll appreciate it. You'll love it. You can thank me later. And, of course, as always, we'll open up the phone lines in the later part of the show. And I did remember to reserve an extra block of time for those of you that had called in last night and trying to get your voice heard on the air covering the TLC pay-per-view.
Want to welcome you guys, especially that we're trying to call in. As we know, the show had ended rather abruptly. We do apologize for that. But it turns out it actually wasn't even an error on our part. It was actually an error on Blog Talk Radio's part. But it looks like everything has been corrected. We should be good now from here on out. All right, so guys and gals, let's talk about WWE Raw tonight, where it was the 2012 Slammy Awards. It returned, and, you know, a lot of these awards that they put out there, I must say some of the people that they had chose to win these awards, hey, I was all fine with some of the selections, but there were some that kind of had me scratching my head a little bit, just kind of saying, okay, this is ridiculous, this is silly. There was other awards that kind of just had me go, really? Are we really going with this category? Of course, we'll go more into that during the course of tonight's episode. For now, guys, let's go on ahead and let's jump right into it. All right, so first up we had got a match between Rey Mysterio and Damian Sandow. This match had ended rather quickly, and that was pretty much the main theme for a lot of these matches that had played out during the course of this 3-hour episode of Raw, as the emphasis was really on the Slammies and just a sea of people that had made their return to tonight's episode. Yes, we saw more than one return, and it was returns of epic proportions all throughout the night, spread very evenly throughout the 3 hours. Well, first up, we had got the SmackDown General Manager, Booker T, to present the award for Tell Me I Did Not Just See That. And in that category itself, the nominees had went as follows, folks. We had got Brad Maddox screwing Ryback at Hell in a Cell. Sheamus defeating Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds at this past year's WrestleMania. Royal Rumble 2012, where Kofi Kingston was almost eliminated as he was sent outside the ring, but somehow, miraculously, this guy ends up getting back into the ring while upside down on his hands, making his way to the ring to secure his spot in that Royal Rumble match. For you guys that might be having a hard time picturing it, if you didn't see that match, YouTube is your best friend right about now. Also, we had got The Rock getting punked by CM Punk on that episode of Raw. Who can forget that? Rock throwing it down on the Big Show. Looked like he was getting ready to go for the people's elbow. When out of nowhere, wham, he gets hit by CM Punk. And that was pretty much the turning point for CM Punk's heel turn. That was a great moment right there. Now, right before we could see who the winner is, we actually had got a cameo by the one and only the Boogeyman. That's right, the Boogeyman. When was the last time, for you hardcore WWE fans, when was the last time you remember seeing the Boogeyman in the WWE? Of course, nice little backstory to that Boogeyman character. Nice little trivia for you guys. Guess who created the Boogeyman character? No. It was not Vince McMahon. No, surprisingly, it was Shane McMahon. Probably one of a few good things that had came from Shane McMahon during his time in the WWE. But we saw the Boogeyman. He didn't say anything. He just came out to his intro music, and he had the clock in his hand or around his chest still, doing what he normally does. And for you guys that's been kind of wondering what the Boogeyman has been up to as of late, last we had heard he is working on a web series that's somewhat similar to a Nightmare on Elm Street TV series. Now, you guys that kind of go way back to the 80s, you're probably listening to that, and you're probably saying, huh? And then some of you that's a little bit younger, you're probably like, huh? Well, yeah, back in the late 80s there, early 90s, there used to be a Nightmare on Elm Street TV series. And if you remember that, my friend, you got a good memory, and you definitely love the 80s, and there's no shame in that. But, yeah, there was a TV series on that, and from what I've seen, little clips I've been able to come across of the Boogeyman's web series, and I believe it's called Bedtime Stories. So it is kind of playing off of what had happened on that series. So it gives you a little bit of insight. But last we checked, that's what he's been up to. So nice little good stuff that he's been up to as of late. Vaguely, he's not really been wrestling in a few promotions. Not really. I mean, he was kind of doing the indie circuit for a little bit, but he's been kind of cold the past couple of years. But this is the very latest thing, and we had confirmed this news. I think it was about maybe last month or 2 months ago that he was working on this. So it's brand new. Trust that information right there. Great moment. Okay, the winner for that, tell me I did not just see that, goes to Kofi Kingston, folks. And Kofi Kingston, upon accepting the award, he assured the WWE Universe that he's going to continue to get woos and ahs from the crowd, just continuing to do what he does best, which is delivering in the ring. Next up, folks, we had got to see our second match of the evening, as we had saw a very brief encounter between Caitlyn as she had took on Eve, the Divas champion. Man, you really couldn't get into this match right here. This was over really quickly. I mean, so quickly. But, you know, here was another night, and I'm going to be bringing this up again. Here was a night where we had another great crowd. Of course, WWE Raw coming from Philadelphia. Other than New York, it's a handful of cities that really, really love their wrestling, that are very passionate about it. Philadelphia, you got to give it up to the Philly crowd tonight. They love their wrestling, and they really were not into this Divas match. It was very evident. I mean, it was so damn quiet. I mean, you could probably hear somebody break wind. That's how quiet it was during this match. Nobody gave a flying hoot that Caitlyn had picked up the win over Eve. And it was so sad because post-match she tried to briefly mock Eve by posing for a picture, something that Eve's been kind of doing to people that she's been defeating over the past couple of weeks. Still relatively new, but we saw Caitlyn try to do that. That really didn't get any type of buzz. Then she tried to hold the Divas Championship, and that didn't even receive any type of buzz whatsoever. The crowd, they're just like, okay, yeah, we get it. Are you done? Let's see the next event. Very happy that this segment had ended. It just goes to show you how quickly the WWE Universe, really depending on the crowd or whatever news that they're able to come across on that wrestler, or just downright if they just don't care, take it how you want it, but it's very evident that they do not care about this little rivalry between Eve and Caitlyn. I really think Caitlyn's momentum got derailed big time when she had that little unfortunate mishap that happened at SmackDown tapings a couple of weeks back, but it is what it is, folks. All right, next up, we had got to see the return of Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, the New Age Outlaws. Yep, D-Generations X. Yes, love these guys. Billy Gunn almost looks as if he hasn't aged worth a day. Billy Gunn still looks the same. I got rid of those silly little dreads, but, hey, they both still look the same. They were out to present the award for Comeback of the Year. And the nominees for that, it had went as follows, folks. Brock Lesnar's shocking return the night after WrestleMania to confront John Cena to deliver that devastating F5. Chris Jericho's return to Raw. Who could forget that? That was a really solid moment right there. Remember, for that whole entire month, he was just being silent. He wasn't saying anything. Even when he finally did the highlight reel, he wasn't saying anything. Great solid month of silence from the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla. DX reunion on Raw 1000. That's right. Remember, it was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn. Probably the only thing you had missing from that was either Tori or China. But, hey, it is what it is. But remember that episode of Raw 1000. They all came back together, full effect, and they all were just taking turns beating the crap out of Damian Sandow. Great moment right there. And, of course, finishing up the category for nominees was Jerry Lawler returning to Raw after suffering his heart attack. And the winner of that really should be a no-brainer. It went hands down to Jerry Lawler. For those of you that are kind of wondering, well, if that thing didn't happen with Jerry Lawler, who maybe might have been the next possible winner for that category? I honestly would think that hands down it would go to Brock Lesnar returning to Raw to deliver the F5 to John Cena. Some of you guys may disagree with that, but for me personally, I thought that was a really shocking moment because it was one of those moments. You know, even when you think back about it now, you still can't really believe that Brock Lesnar actually came back to the WWE after all these years, you know. But hands down, I think that would have won if it wasn't for Jerry Lawler's little scary incident there. Next match, we got to see Kofi Kingston take on Tensai, a.k.a. Albert. And, this match, you just feel so bad for Kofi Kingston, guys. Kofi Kingston getting buried. Tensai getting buried. And, the way that he was just buried in this, guys, you really couldn't get into this match between Kofi Kingston and Lord Tensai. This match was over, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but, it wasn't like I was timing it, but this match felt like it was over in at least less than 4 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes. I mean, you feel so bad for Tensai. It just seemed like when he first came back to the WWE earlier this year, it seemed like he was getting pushed really hard. I mean, he was almost being pushed as hard as Ryback, but there's still that bitter taste in everybody's mind of no matter how you want to try to dress him up, say he's from Japan, put the little Japanese tattoos all on his face, give him a nice little ring attire, whatever. He is still Prince Albert from TNA, and that's just really sad when you think about it. But, yeah, Lord Tensai got buried by Kofi Kingston rather quickly. Next up, we got to see a very peculiar category, which was the Kiss of the Year. I BS you not, Kiss of the Year. You just can't make this stuff up. This was a hysterical moment for me looking at this category because when I saw this, I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God, they are really having fun with this right here. Now, to present this award, it was Vicky Guerrero, and the nominees go as follows. This is not a type-over, so you guys that's getting ready to hear this, I don't want you guys thinking, this guy's playing a bad joke. No, this is actually the nominees. It goes as follows. AJ Lee and Daniel Bryan. AJ Lee and Kane. AJ Lee and CM Punk. AJ Lee and John Cena. I know, right? Now, when you really think about that for a second, just think about all the guys that she's kissed just this year alone. I don't know about you guys, but that sure is one hell of a woman that gets around. That is a bona fide slut in my book if you're going around kissing that many damn men. Good God, you don't know what the hell you want, sister. In either case, the winner of that obviously was AJ. It would actually be John Cena. So Best Kiss award went to AJ, John Cena. Now, AJ Lee, she comes out to try to accept the award. Vicky Guerrero, she wants answers. She wants to know why AJ injected herself into that match between Dolph Ziggler and John Cena at the TLC pay-per-view. AJ Lee, she would say, hey, I don't owe you, I don't owe anybody, not even John Cena, any type of an explanation. And that was pretty much it. So she took her award and she was done. Now, from there, folks, we had got to see Great Khali in action as he had took on and squashed David Otunga. David Otunga, his little series of getting buried continues. We had just heard that David Otunga had a dark match there at the TLC pay-per-view against JTG. He got buried in that one. Here he is again getting buried by the Great Khali. Anyway, I'm not reading into some of these matches because they were really, really short. And to answer the question that one of our listeners had posed to us on Twitter, which was, is it just me or does it seem like Raw tonight was taking way too many commercials because the matches were just so short? totally agree with you. Of all the times that Raw usually likes to take their time telling their stories or do their recaps, we really didn't see any of that. There was hardly, if not none, recaps that were airing throughout the night. A lot of commercials, though. But again, Great Khali got to win over Otunga. It's now time for Superstar of the Year, probably one of the most heated moments of the night for Raw, where Michael Cole and the gang, they really set this up beautifully. They showed you the nominees for this award, and you just see the image of these guys, and then you hear that there's going to be a special presenter that's going to be handling this category. And right as they get ready to go to commercial break, you hear, woo! So you're under the impression, oh, no, it couldn't possibly come back from the commercial. Sure enough, it was North Carolina's own 16-time World Heavyweight Champion and 2-time WWE Hall of Famer, jet flying, kissing, wheeling, stealing, son of a gun. To beat the man, to be the man, you gotta be the man. You know what I'm trying to say. Nature Boy, Ric Flair, making his long, eagerly anticipated return to the WWE, and he received such a huge pop from the crowd. Really a great mark-out moment right here, as if the Boogeyman wasn't a great mark-out moment. Ric Flair back in the WWE was even better. He looks really good. I'm very happy to see him back in the company. We see Ric Flair. He's presenting the nominees: Sheamus, John Cena, CM Punk. Those are your guys. The winner for this was none other than John Cena, and the Philly crowd let the C Nation leader have it tonight. They were booing John Cena out of the arena. This was really, if you were not watching Raw, it was really almost up there with the energy that the Brooklyn crowd had at the pay-per-view just 24 hours ago. I mean, it was ridiculously just crazy. They did not like this. They did not like John Cena getting this award. And John Cena, he was trying to go through his little speech or what have you, and it was one of those moments, and it's very rare that I am in this position, because usually I'm trying to think as unbiased as possible and try to understand why possibly some angle might play out a certain way. But this was one of those moments where I was actually literally yelling at the TV, and my girlfriend can confirm this, because, I mean, I was just pissed. I'm like, why in the hell is John Cena even getting this award? He has had the worst year so far. He lost to The Rock at WrestleMania. He was the first ever guy to lose at cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase. He lost at SummerSlam. The man just lost at the pay-per-view last night, and now he's getting the award for Superstar of the Year. Something doesn't sound right about this. And we see John Cena, he's trying to go through his acceptance speech, but the crowd is really letting him have it. And he's just pausing numerous times. And finally he goes, you know, with all due respect, can't accept this award. That's exactly what I was screaming at the TV. It was like, if you're a man, you're not going to accept this award because it's really not for you. And we see John Cena. He talks about how he really can't accept it, that he has to show proper respect to where it's due. So you're hearing that, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, so probably he's going to do the right thing, and he's probably going to give the award to the WWE champion, CM Punk, right? Champion for 393 consecutive days. Makes sense, right? Doesn't even happen like that. We actually see John Cena present the award to the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And we see Cena, he just walks off. Ric Flair, he's getting ready to say something seconds later. And how these two guys did not cross paths with each other backstage there in the curtains, I have no clue, because this guy was on crutches. WWE Champion CM Punk comes out with Paul Heyman, And Punk is just very livid at the fact that he was not voted for the Superstar of the Year. Once again, CM Punk feels that he has been disrespected, and we just see him take shots at Ric Flair. Ric Flair, he lets him know, hey, look, granted, I may have not been in the WWE for a good long period of time, but hey, Punk, been watching everything that's been going on, know exactly what's up. And Ric Flair basically tells CM Punk, hey, according to the time on my Rolex, time for you to go, because the Philly crowd, they really not trying to hear this. CM Punk, he's not budging, though. He pretty much tells Ric Flair, hey, I might have one bad leg, but I can kick your ass any day. Well, Ric Flair takes him to that. He says, okay, well, if that's the case, let's go for it right now. You and me one-on-one. So Ric Flair actually challenges CM Punk to a match. Now, bear in mind, Ric Flair, no ring gear, so he goes on to the ring. CM Punk, he follows, and we see Ric Flair, he's just waiting, ready to go. CM Punk, he's still on two crutches. He does a low blow with one of the crutches to Ric Flair's groin. Flair is down. We see Punk, he takes his other crutch, he hits Flair over the back with it. Really great moment right here, as it looked as if Punk was about to start going to town on Ric Flair, but he paused to do a little bit of showboating, and Ric Flair quickly countered right back, doing that trademark thumb to the eyes, and then started beating down on Punk. Punk, he got out of there real quick. Paul Heyman couldn't get out of there fast enough, unfortunately, as he became a victim to the figure four leg lock. Eventually, though, Paul Heyman was able to get out of there. Just when we thought this was over, we hear the music of the Shield. And for that little silly little kid that sat up putting out comments at our TLC post show on YouTube every 2 minutes, putting a little comment out there, he said, hee, a hee, a hee, a hee. This is especially for you. His name is not Roman Reigns or Romaine Reigns, whatever name I was calling him. And I always tell folks, if I make a mistake live on the air, or if I make a mistake and you're hearing it on the downloads, just shoot me an email. You don't have to act like a 5-year-old kid. You said. No, that's not how we work. That gets you ignored and that gets you lit up real fast. Okay, Roman Reigns, folks. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, they all come out, and it looks really bad for Ric Flair. Now, unfortunately, Raw just abruptly cuts to a commercial break, so we don't even get to see what had happened during this whole fiasco. But when we come right back, we see that Ric Flair, he's being jumped. We see the team of Daniel Bryan, Kane, they're in there. They're thrown into the mix as they had tried to come to the aid of the Nature Boy. And once again, we just see the Shield just working in really great harmony right here, really working as a great stable. They are just owning all these guys until we see Ryback come out, and Ryback pretty much helped even up the odds right here. And it was just one of those moments. If you saw the TLC pay-per-view, you were very proud of what Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins did, but you're even more prouder with them tonight because you just look at the rub-off that they were able to get doing that brief little program with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Now, I don't know about you guys, but we can hear all these arguments about how the TLC pay-per-view, it might get poor buy rates, whatever like that. A finger's going to be pointed to somebody. I think, honestly, that's not going to even be the case. Everybody knows that, unfortunately, the WWE champion, CM Punk, was not able to compete. And even at that, there's only but so much that one person can do. I know there was that little fear there from some of you that maybe the Shield would be blamed at and maybe their push would come to a screeching halt. But if anything, you take the signs of what had happened at the TLC pay-per-view where the Shield earned their stripes, and you see what they did tonight working with Ric Flair. And I'm not even done talking about the Shield just yet. They made another impact, and that was to come later in the night. But just the fact that they were working with Ric Flair right there, really great moment for them. So fans of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, y'all should be pretty proud right now. Looks like their careers are really going into the right direction. But let's see. Let's move on now. We saw Brodus Clay in action. He had took on and defeated JTG. That was another squash match right there. Next up, we had got the Laugh Out Loud Award. This was one of those moments that kind of had you go, well, who could possibly be up for this one? Well, the nominees for that went as follows, folks. We had got to see the Rock. Let's not forget that segment that he had there where he was at the Boston Harbor and he was tossing John Cena memorabilia out into the sea. Great moment right there. Kane, Daniel Bryan, their anger management classes with Harold. Randy Orton beating up Alberto Del Rio in a backstage segment on SmackDown that pretty much ended with Del Rio pouring some of the catering food that was there on Ricardo Rodriguez and then putting a lemon cake in the face of Matt Stryker. Bad move for Stryker, who was trying to get reactions from Randy Orton about what all had just happened. Worst time to try to do an interview. Vicky Guerrero dancing. Why that was even there, that just really looked disturbing to me, but whatever. You know, the award, it actually went to The Rock for what he did at the Boston Harbor. Nice little moment right there. And bear in mind, all of these categories the WWE Universe had chose by downloading the WWE app that was constantly being reminded to us every single segment. And it pissed off a lot of you guys. We really feel bad for you because there was actually quite a few of you that actually had tuned out because you felt as if WWE was kind of treating you like you might have been a little bit stupid or whatever. Hey, I just think it was just one of those scenarios where they just really wanted to get that word out about the app, make sure everybody knew how to utilize it. Because when you really think about it, this is their first year really just having to be exclusively interactive through an app. Any other time, you could just cast your votes online, and it's not like they were giving you a play-by-play. And quite honestly, I welcome whenever they try to tell us how to use a certain app, how to go about downloading it, whatever like that. I'm all fine for that. But it did go a bit overkill. I do admit that. They really, really went way out there, especially with the cheap plugs for the new Samsung Galaxy phone. But, yeah, Rock had actually won that, and it was a moment that I was kind of like, very interesting, because when you think about it, and we just talked about this on the RCWR show over the weekend, which was Brian Gerwitz, who used to be the head writer of Raw. You know, unfortunately, he's no longer at the helm because he was being looked upon as the fall guy for all of Raw's problems that they were having. And if anything, from what we've seen since he's been removed as the head writer, things have actually gotten a little bit worse as far as the ratings have gone. They've been putting out better content to a certain extent, but they've been struggling in the ratings even more since they got rid of him. Now, he's still with the company, but they're keeping him around long enough to do something with The Rock, because Rock has gone on record saying that Brian is the only guy he trusts to write his stuff. So to see this right here of The Rock winning the award, you know, it just kind of makes you wonder if maybe WWE, if to a certain extent they might try to sit up and maybe keep Brian around just a little bit longer and maybe use him in a new type of role where maybe not only he's just writing specifically for The Rock, maybe he could actually write specific stuff for maybe John Cena or Sheamus, you know, maybe a few of the main guys rather than just try to write for an entire 3-hour show on a weekly basis. But I just thought that was kind of funny that he had got that award. And it should be noted that the guys that had presented the award for the Laugh Out Loud moment, it was Santino and Tensai, and that was really a funny moment in itself right there, as we had saw Santino try to get Tensai to talk, but Tensai, he really did not want to be out there. And Santino, great funny moment, he said, "Oh, what's wrong, Albert?" And finally, we really kind of hear some of the other WWE wrestlers acknowledging Tensai as Albert. It's like you knew it had to happen sooner or later. You knew they were going to have to try to really acknowledge it, and at least they're kind of doing it in a joking way. And Santino even went a step further, and he told the WWE Universe that in Japanese, Tensai means Fat Albert. And Tensai was pretty pissed off when he had heard that, but he didn't do anything physically to Santino as they were able to get the award out there. All right, let's talk about the next moment that occurred on tonight's Slammy Awards special, as we got to see Cody Rhodes in action. The mustache looks like it's been growing a little bit more fuller since last we had saw him on the air. Looks like Cody Rhodes is very content on growing out that mustache. Doesn't look like it's going to be going away anytime soon. Very surprised at the Philly crowd tonight. I thought for sure they were going to do just like that Brooklyn crowd and really get that chant up there for that mustache, but they didn't go that route. We didn't even hear Cody's mustache chants. I was a little bit disappointed with that. I actually had to kind of hum it to myself as I was just looking at that mustache. That is one fine, unique piece of mustache. Personally, I've tried growing the mustache. Well, not growing the mustache. I've tried cutting it like that, and I just don't like it. I have to have the goatee, the beard. I got to have the whole haggard look. I don't really like pushing that. That just looks really weird to me. But we saw Cody Rhodes pick up a victory over Sin Cara. Next up, we had got the Feed Me More Awards. Oh, correction. I gave you the winner right there. My bad. Actually, hashtag of the year. Don't have my glasses tonight. Forgive me, guys. Hashtag of the Year award. Now, this was a category which I might as well tell you, Ryback had won, for his Feed Me More. Let me tell you the nominees, though, even though I already gave the winner out there. The other hashtag nominees were People Power, of course, made famous by the former Raw general manager, John Laurinaitis. R-Truth for Little Jimmy. Zack Ryder for his Woo, 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 You Know It. Feed Me More went to Ryback. Moving along now, we saw Big Show come out, and we had a good time making fun of Big Show on the TLC post-show. I strongly still believe that he had gave Wile E. Coyote a phone call and was trying to get that number for Acme, because that chair that he used on Sheamus, that chair, just size-wise, that was ridiculous, okay? Let's be for real. I've never seen a damn chair that damn big before. He had to have done something with Wile E. Coyote. I don't know. But in either case, we see Big Show. He brings that chair on now, and he's poking fun at the WWE Universe, wondering what he has to do to gain their respect that he feels he deserves as their World Heavyweight Champion. Sheamus comes out shortly after, gives him props, says, hey, look, you became the better man last night, even though you used a steel chair. Hey, it was still all fair. Definitely you proved to me that you're the better man. You proved that, without a doubt, why you should be the World Heavyweight Champion. Let me shake your hand. And Big Show, he can't really believe what he's hearing. He extends the handshake out there, and the two shake. Looks like, okay, this is pretty much over. Well, as Sheamus turns around, he's leaving the ring. Big Show just has to throw an insult out there and tell Sheamus, yeah, now take your pasty Irish eating potato to the back of the line where you belong. What made you thought you could even defeat me? Sheamus just snapped, just starts attacking Big Show. We see Sheamus connect with that devastating bro kick to just lay out Big Show. So, looks like these two guys aren't done just yet. So, it looks like for a fourth time, we're probably going to be seeing Big Show and Sheamus lock it up. I don't know how some of you guys feel about that, but based on what that Philly crowd had said, they definitely were not enjoying Big Show. They actually were chanting boring. It was really good that Sheamus had came out to kind of help save the segment, but even at that, the fans were actually not really too pleased with Sheamus either. This pretty much had boiled down to, let's get it on. Let's see you all brawl. So, you know, I'm very curious to see where this is going to go, because so far now, I don't know. They're going to have to go really big on this one. It's like, how do you top a chairs match? You know, what can you do now? So, given the fact that we just came off of a gimmick pay-per-view, you know, do you really want to go that route with the Big Show and Sheamus one more time? I don't know about that, but if I were to just give my thoughts on this just early on, just without a doubt, whether some of us like it or not, these two guys, they will be locking up again. And I think that since this is going to be their fourth encounter, look for Booker T to really lay that groundwork out there that no matter what, win, lose, or draw, that this is pretty much going to be it. This is the final time. Sheamus, hey, you've got an opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to try to win back the World Heavyweight Championship. This is it. Look for Booker T to say something along the lines of, if you can't get the job done against Big Show at the Royal Rumble, you're not going to get another title shot so as long as Big Show is the World Heavyweight Champion. I think at that point, that's when we're probably going to see Sheamus get back that World Heavyweight title. But in the meantime, let's talk about what had happened after Sheamus laid out Big Show with that devastating brogue kick. We actually saw Mr. Show-Off, Dolph Ziggler, quickly run down to the ring, and what looked as if it was about to be his moment, as he was about to cash in that briefcase and just go for the cover, John Cena, out of nowhere, attacked Ziggler. And, folks, Philly crowd, got to give it to them. Love the Philly crowd. They booed the hell out of John Cena. This is not what they wanted to see. They wanted to see John Cena just be somewhere else at that time. They wanted Dolph Ziggler to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. And it's so funny right here when you think about it, because one of the main things that we were talking about on Sunday's TLC post-show was how Dolph Ziggler's moment was just ruined by John Cena. Now, I personally had contributed an article earlier today, and if you guys didn't read it, I humbly encourage you to go check it out. It's at the website right now at infinityOneProductions.com, and I wrote a very in-depth article on why Dolph Ziggler's win at the TLC pay-per-view against John Cena means absolutely nothing. Now, we'll go into a little bit of detail about that tonight, and, you know, that's actually going to be one of the main focal points that we want to pose to you all in the form of a question tonight, for those of you that call into the show, even those of you that are accessing the show on your internet browser, you popping in and out of the chat room as you're listening to this. We want to pose that question out there to you and get you all's take on if you felt that Dolph Ziggler's moment at TLC was ruined by the way the match had played out, as the argument can be made that, okay, once again, John Cena just proved why he is what some people would say a dick. And I'll bring up a little bit more of that later on, trust me. But for now, let's just go over the rest of the results for tonight's show. All right, so next up, we had got to see a pretty great backstage segment. So just to follow up on what had happened there with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler catches up with Vicky Guerrero. He's like, hey, did you see what John Cena had did? What the hell? Hey, you're supposed to be the acting supervisor of Raw. You're supposed to be using your power around here. Do something. Vicky Guerrero, she says, hey, I don't mind doing something, but tell me, what had happened between you and Cena at TLC? You were supposed to get the job done right there. By the way, what was up with the kiss that you had got from AJ Lee? I know some of you guys are probably hearing that. You're going, huh? Yeah, I kind of skipped that on purpose. AJ Lee during that whole kiss of the year or whatever. She shockingly, as she was getting into it with Vicky Guerrero, Dolph Ziggler had came out. He tried to calm the situation down, and AJ Lee, she told Vicky Guerrero, "You want to talk about a kiss? You haven't seen anything yet," as she just planted one on Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler kind of pulled a Mikey there. He actually liked it. He liked it. He was really into that. Well, we see Dolph Ziggler, he tells Vicky in this backstage segment he's not really sure what was up with AJ. He doesn't know anything about the kiss, and as far as TLC went, he didn't know that she was going to have anything to do with that match. Vicky's not really buying it, and we see Dolph Ziggler pose the question that probably a lot of you were kind of wondering, what exactly is going on with Dolph and Vicky? Well, we now have seen that official separation of these two, as Ziggler says to Vicky straight up, "Hey, by the way, we're done, right? We're over." And we kind of hear a hesitant Vicky Guerrero say yes. You kind of left with the impression that she still probably wants to get back with him. And Dolph Ziggler basically pulls her card. He says, "Look, I'm tired of all your crap, the ugliness." I mean, he said some pretty hardcore stuff out there that would just make any woman probably break down in tears. But luckily that wasn't the case for Vicky. Vicky countered right back and said, "You know what? You're going to have your damn match tonight, as it's going to be you teaming up with AJ to take on me and John Cena." So that was your main event for tonight. Now, we did reveal the results of that main event earlier tonight. If you didn't catch it, don't worry. We'll quickly recap it one more time for you guys. And at this point, hopefully, from those of you that are in the chat room, we can get more information on who that big black guy was that had came into the ring at the end. But for now, let's go on ahead and let's move on with the next Slammy Award that was presented by Sheamus. That's right. It is now time for one of my personal favorite awards, the Newcomer of the Year. And your categories it had went as follows. Should be a no-brainer. Damian Sandow, Antonio Cesaro, Brodus Clay. I was about to call that man Burgess. Don't ask me why. He does kind of look like a burger, Burgess, whatever. And Ryback. Ryback, of course, he won that award. I passionately feel if it wasn't for Ryback being in there, Damian Sandow, he should have had that hands down. Because when you really think about it, Damian Sandow, his momentum was really building right before Ryback just out of nowhere skyrocketed. And I got co-producer Tammy, she's in the background seeing what you guys are saying. And I'm looking at her. She's even nodding her head saying, yeah, Damian Sandow, he would have had that. He was hot before Ryback. So it's very funny how a difference just a couple of months can make, But, hey, I'm proud for Ryback. So if you're keeping track, Ryback, he actually picked up 2 Slammy Awards tonight. And Ryback, he actually did come out to accept the award. Brief words. He said, hey, in the words of the late Owen Hart. That's right. He said something about Owen Hart there. I thought this was a really great moment right here, especially considering that Martha Hart and the WWE are still in the middle of their ongoing lawsuit that has been going on for, God, at least just over 15 years now. We see him give a direct quote of Owen Hart saying, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. I am that change. Feed me more, feed me more, feed me more. Short, brief, to the point. Love that about Ryback. Ryback, of course, he went in action against Antonio Cesaro, who took offense to Ryback getting that award for Newcomer of the Year, as he goes on record saying that Ryback, he's nothing. He's not even a champion, while he is everything, basically all of that in a bag of chips. Well, this match, and I know some of you guys that were probably looking at this, you probably were a little bit concerned about how this match was going to play out. And I knew exactly how this was going to play out because you have 2 of your best guys, newcomers that is, that's really on the rise. Do you really want somebody to get a win over the other right now. And I knew this match was going to end in a count-out. I thought it was very brilliant the way they did this. As we saw, Antonio Cesaro looked like he was having his way with Ryback for a little bit. Ryback, though, he looked like he was getting ready to just wrap up this match. Cesaro didn't want any more of Mr. Feed Me More. He just got out the ring, tried to take his United States title, leave. Ryback tried to get him back into the ring. Cesaro, he just quickly rolled out, hauled off to the backstage area. Referee had no choice but to count to 10 and count out Antonio Cesaro. I feel we'll see these two guys lock it up again, but for now, smart the way that they had did this. Next up, we got to see WWE Hall of Famers Jim Ross, Mean Gene Okerlund, and Ricky Dragon Steamboat. They came out to present the final Slammy Award of the night, which goes to Match of the Year. Your nominees for that were as follows, folks. Undertaker versus Triple H, end of an era at WrestleMania 28. Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at Extreme Rules. How quickly this next one was added. Big Show versus Sheamus at Hell in a Cell. And John Cena versus The Rock once in a lifetime at WrestleMania 28. The winner for that went to none other than Undertaker versus Triple H. Smart move right there. Great moment. And you know what? With that, we had actually got to see the return of the King of Kings, Triple H. Nice haircut, a little bit lower than what we had saw from last time, as pretty much this Triple H we saw this time around, he was pretty much almost bald. Almost bald. Now, I got to rewind it back, but if I'm not mistaken, he was pretty much almost bald. He might as well should have just shaved whatever that was he had. And very interesting right here. He was very humble, thanked the WWE Universe. Most importantly, he took the time to thank Undertaker, Shawn Michaels for creating such a very special, magical moment that can only happen at WrestleMania. And the fans, they chanted to Hunter that they wanted Undertaker. And Triple H, he pauses, and you could kind of tell he was trying to search for the right words to say to the crowd. But the one thing that he would go on record saying is that he really appreciated that match that he was in, and he went on record answering $1 million question that's been on a lot of people's minds, which, of course, is, are we going to see The Undertaker again? And Triple H did go on record and say, yes, we have not seen the last of The Undertaker. He will be back. That, personally, that wasn't the $1 million question that I had in my mind, as pointed out by Jerry Lawler shortly after in the main event match, which, of course, is, hey, Triple H, are you ever going to step foot into the ring? I love how he dodged that altogether. He is really, I got to give Triple H credit. He's really pushing the, I got my ass handed to me, I'm just not going to get back into the ring. I got bitched. I got embarrassed by Brock Lesnar. Oh, poor woe is me. You know, Triple H reminds me of, I believe it was Superman 2, where in that one, Christopher Reeves, as Superman, he decides that he wants to give up being a Kryptonian because he believes that he found the woman that he loves and he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. So he coughs up his Superman powers to be with her, and he starts experiencing everything that a regular human experiences. Meanwhile, as he's doing all this, the three evil Kryptonians that have escaped from the Phantom Zone, they've made their way to Earth, and they're causing a ruckus and everything like that. And I don't know, just for some reason, Triple H just kind of has that type of vibe going to me, because it's like, what happened to the big, badass Triple H who, when he got his ass beat, he used to come right back and say, okay, you know what, that's not going to happen a second time on the row. I'm going to own your ass. Let's do this again. So I like how this Triple H right now just kind of has his tail tucked between his legs, and he's just kind of, oh, I'm just a regular corporate man just trying to live the quiet social life. Don't pay me no mind. It's all about the other guys. It's not about me. So something is going to have to trigger Triple H getting back into the ring, and we got the Royal Rumble right around the corner. They're going to have to start making some moves, but I thought this was a really great moment for Triple H to be coming back tonight. Of course, we got to talk about another guy that had made a comeback tonight, and for me, I skipped this moment on purpose because I wanted to give you the main stuff first. But, we had saw a 3-on-3 tag match just a little bit before the main event, where we had saw the three-man band trying to look for retribution after suffering a loss to the team of The Miz, Alberto Del Rio, and the Brooklyn Brawler. Well, tonight it would be Alberto Del Rio teaming up with The Miz again, as they brought in ECW alumni, Mr. Tommy Dreamer. Great moment right here. I love seeing Tommy Dreamer back. Of course, this victory that these guys had got over 3MB really wouldn't last that long. And did anybody notice the House of Hardcore shirt that Tommy Dreamer was pushing? Well, you know what? We got to show Tommy Dreamer some love, since WWE did not show him any love by verbally acknowledging it. But that shirt that Tommy Dreamer was wearing, that's actually his own wrestling promotion that he started up just a couple of months ago. And I just thought it was kind of jacked up that WWE, they didn't, say, oh, yeah, hey, it's ECW alumni Tommy Dreamer. He's been doing pretty well for himself. He just started up his own little business. I know. I got co-producer Tammy looking at me. She's going, no, it has nothing to do with the WWE. That's why they didn't acknowledge it. But I just kind of feel like after a wrestler has been with an organization for so many years, I just kind of, I don't know. It just feels to me like why not acknowledge when a wrestler is doing something constructive? When they're doing. Competition. Okay, I didn't really think of that. Well, oh, come on. His little small little funky ringy dingy promotion. Okay, so wait a minute. So WWE, they can't sit up and they can't acknowledge Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore promotion yet. Stephanie McMahon can talk business with Smashing Pumpkins' Billy Corgan about his Resistance Pro Wrestling promotion and trying to see if they could do some type of a collaboration where his company is used as a new power plant for WWE's wrestlers. I don't know about you, but that kind of sounds like a double standard. You know what I'm saying? Billy Corgan just jumped into this. He just woke up one day and said, right after, the world is a vampire. Right after he said that, he goes, I want to go into wrestling. Tommy Dreamer's been living, eating, breathing it all these freaking years. I would give the edge more to Tommy Dreamer than to some guy that by first birthright is a musician. I mean, this guy just this year, Billy Corgan just got into wrestling. Now, I'll give him a little bit of props. Maybe he's had the gears in motion for maybe 2 years, but that still doesn't top Tommy Dreamer, who's been in the business, like over 20-plus years? I don't know. That just sounds kind of funny to me. I don't know about that. But, like I said, great moment right there. It was nice seeing Tommy Dreamer back, one of the originals. Sadly, though, we saw Tommy Dreamer get jumped in a backstage segment. Now, the Shield, they had attacked him. Now, some of you were probably looking at that segment, that Watch Raw, and you guys were probably wondering, what did Tommy Dreamer do to warrant this attack? Well, if you paid attention, it would have went by within a matter of seconds. We heard one of the members from the Shield say to Tommy Dreamer this is our house. This is the house of the Shield. And the beatdown that I'm taking from that, I think they didn't appreciate the fact that Tommy Dreamer is an outsider. And that was the injustice in itself, that he was an outsider that basically had no business being in the WWE, being in that arena. I think that's exactly why they jumped him. Now, we saw, surprisingly, Ricardo Rodriguez try to come to Tommy Dreamer's aid. Shield members, they beat him down too. So now you really have this door wide open for a baby face, Alberto Del Rio, to really be injected into whatever's going down with the Shield. Remember, we were talking about it Sunday, and officially it looked as if that was the start of a face turn for Alberto Del Rio. And seeing him aligned with The Miz, Tommy Dreamer tonight, and you follow that up with Ricardo getting beat down by the Shield, no-brainer. Alberto Del Rio, whether some people like it or hate it, is going to be involved with the Shield, as WWE is trying very hard to have this guy get over. Based on a little bit of what I saw in the ring tonight, I really didn't get the impression from the crowd that they didn't care if Del Rio's going face. They still don't like him. I think that was very evident, and I'm not knocking a Philly crowd. Philly knows their shit. Philly is right up there with New York. They know their shit. So I don't really think it's going to matter, but, hey, I'm willing to play this out and see where this goes. Hey, I could be wrong. Wouldn't be a first. Damn sure wouldn't be the last. All right, guys, let's talk about the main attraction of the night, which had saw Vicky Guerrero teaming up with John Cena to take on AJ Lee, Dolph Ziggler. Very weird match right here that ended in like about 9 minutes. You know, we had saw at one point AJ Lee, she just leaves. Vicky Guerrero, she soon leaves. This was like maybe 3-4 minutes into the match. You're kind of like, what's going on? Did catering come finally? Why are they just leaving the ring like this? They got a match. It boils down to Dolph Ziggler, John Cena. It was really looking good. They were almost picking up right where they left off from the TLC pay-per-view. But then from out of nowhere, we just see this big, cockstrong black guy wearing some type of African colors on his ring gear. He comes out and he just manhandles the hell out of John Cena. And mad props to Dave in the chat room. He said apparently the guy, and Dave, let me know if I'm reading you right, man. You're trying to say that the guy is known as Big E, and he's from NXT. Let me know if I'm reading that right. I'm going to go with that for now. Okay, thanks, bro. Yeah, the guy I'm just talking about that had assaulted John Cena, his name is Big E, and he is from the NXT developmental group. So once again, here's another case right here where we got more NXT members that are coming up the roster. And, you know, I don't know how I should feel about this because he's got a nice physique, but then when they did that zoom in on the face, I mean, he kind of looked like one of those guys that used to be in mint condition or something, or he looks like one of those guys that maybe used to be in that Keith Sweat video, Groove Man, baby, tonight. I can't really take him seriously. And, yeah, you know, I was kicking back. I was watching some old school stuff. But, yeah, I'm all joking aside. He actually had a look to his face. I really couldn't take him serious. So, you know, I'm bearing that in mind. I'm saying to myself, okay, hey, guys, if you all wanted to go with a cock-strong brother, I have a question. Why didn't you go with Ezekiel Jackson, who's just been sitting on the damn sidelines, collecting a damn paycheck for X amount of months, isn't being used on any of the WWE programming, is not even being used on the internet shows? You just got this guy kicking back at mild Buffalo Hot Wings or Hooters, watching the freaking WWE pay-per-views on the TV, drinking a pint of beer. Why don't you give him a freaking call and have him come on down and, earn his freaking keep. I just don't get that. If you're going to go with a big brother, why didn't you go with somebody that was already there? Because, honestly, I see this guy say, wow, he's a big black guy. That guy's huge. But then it's kind of like, oh, okay, next. So if you're going to go that route, why not just go with Ezekiel Jackson? I just don't get that. At least Ezekiel Jackson knows how to play a heel. This guy just has a look on his face like, once he did all his power moves, you zoom in on the face, he just has this look like, I hope he doesn't speak. I really hope he doesn't speak. I'm not trying to crap on this guy. Don't get me wrong, guys. He looks like he might have a little something, but, he kind of gave me a nice little weird throwback vibe to Nation of Domination's Mark Henry. He kind of had that little type of vibe to him. And FYI, for those that's asking what's going on with Mark Henry, I know there was a bad rumor that was put out there saying that Mark Henry was getting ready to come back shortly, that creative was trying to come up with some type of a storyline for him. We want to make sure we set the record straight right now because we're huge Mark Henry fans. Mark Henry had said at a recent autograph signing that he is nowhere ready to return right now, and he went a step further and said that from what he's able to gather, it's possible he may not even come back. Okay, so that's how, now take that for what it's worth. Maybe he's throwing a curveball. Who knows? But that came from out of his mouth. Okay, but in the meantime, I bring up Mark Henry's name because, like I said, that's who Big E kind of reminded me of. But I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. I'll definitely be doing my homework next time around. We'll come back on the air. I'll give you an honest analysis of Big E because I know some of you guys that aren't familiar with NXT, you probably are like, who the hell is this guy? We'll do the research for you guys. But one thing's for certain, the way this is really starting to look right now, going into 2013, guys, it looks like everybody, all you hardcore WWE fans that like to just kick back and watch SmackDown, Raw only, it looks like y'all are going to need to start putting in NXT in your repertoire on top of main event because it looks like NXT is where you need to be right now so that when you see these guys come up on main WWE programming, you're not going to be asking the 5 Ws. You know what I'm saying? But overall, pretty solid episode of WWE Raw. We got the return of Ric Flair. We saw the return of the Boogeyman. We saw the return of Tommy Dreamer. We saw the return of the Game, Triple H. God, we saw the return of Mean Gene Okerlund, Jim Ross, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Just hands down, just all around a great, solid episode. Really, really great. Not every day you can kick back and say that all 3 hours was worth it. I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with the Match of the Year award. I think that really should have been held off as long as humanly possible. I know they kind of took it into the third hour there a little bit, but I just kind of felt like they should have waited just a little bit longer, maybe like at the 30-minute mark where you only had 30 minutes of showtime left. Maybe right around there would have been a good time to do that. But still, overall, solid episode tonight. All right, so, guys, we're going to go on ahead and we're going to take a very brief commercial break. We're going to come right back, give you guys some programming notes, let you know what we're going to be up to all this week as we have a solid week of strong shows that's going to be coming out all this week. We'll give you the details on that so you know what's going on, as we do want you guys to check all of it out this week. And we'll definitely open up the phone line. So we're going to go on ahead and take a commercial break. Now, I was kicking back over the weekend, and I was watching Saturday Night Live, and I actually ended up following this song up by checking it out on iTunes as soon as I heard there was an actual studio recording of it. For those of you that are Nirvana fans, it looks like Nirvana has hooked up with Beatles' Paul McCartney, and they did this really kick-ass song. Now, this song initially, it had made its debut at the Sandy Relief concert back on 12-12-12. And the name of the song, it's called Cut Me Some Slack. And a studio recording of this came out shortly afterwards. Now, it's going to be released on the Sound City Reel to Reel Music Inspired by Sound City, which is a film by Foo Fighters, Nirvana, Dave Grohl. And this song really kicks ass. And when I say Nirvana, guys, we got Chris, bass, we got Pat Smear, guitar, we got Grohl doing his thing on the drums, and we got Paul McCartney doing his thing on guitar and on vocals. So for us, it's a really great treat to be playing this song for you guys. For us, it's a premiere. So kick on back, enjoy this song. Then we'll come on back. We'll open up the phone lines, get all into it. You're listening to the RCWR Show coming at you on December 18th, 2012. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight. Oh, hell yeah. Nirvana with Paul McCartney, Sir Paul McCartney. Yep, forming Nirvana right there. That's the track, Cut Me Some Slack. That's going to be coming from that album I was telling you guys about earlier. Look for that. It should be coming out early next year. You can pre-order it in the iTunes Zoom marketplaces right now, and if you pre-order it, you'll be able to get that song free off the break. So good treat. Go check it out right now. All right, so quick programming notes before we open up the phone line, and I want to go through this quickly. We got a solid week of shows that's going to be coming up now. It's already Tuesday, so later tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, we're going to come on immediately after a commercial-free episode of Super SmackDown Live. We'll talk about the results from that, and we'll also talk about the very latest in wrestling-related news. Now, notice we didn't really get into it tonight. That's because it's really just been all about what happened at TLC. That's pretty much been it. There's really not much to really go over. So whatever happens between now and the next time we come on the air later tonight, we'll go into wrestling news a little bit more. Wednesday, it's going to be a very special episode of the RCWR Show. I'll be joined by the lovely co-producer Tammy, and we're going to be joined by a special guest, renowned psychiatrist Dr. Bart Rossi. And we're going to talk in depth about what all has happened at Connecticut with those tragic shootings that took the lives of so many people, so many innocent children. Dr. Rossi is going to try to take us into the mind of what's possibly making some of these young folks snap and commit these heinous crimes. It's really going to be a great interview. You want to make sure that you check that out. It's not really something that we do, let alone on a Wednesday. We usually save our serious talk for our Wednesday shows, so it's really nice to be able to do something on a Wednesday. You'll be able to catch that at 11 p.m. Eastern. TNA wrestling fans, as usual, check out Impact Showdown Radio this Thursday night. We're going to cover the fallout from Impact Wrestling. This Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, it's the return of the RCWR Show Weekend Edition. Cover all the fallout from the very latest as we do a weekend review from what you might have missed from WWE, TNA, also the very latest in wrestling-related news, entertainment news. Got some kick-ass album reviews for you guys. I'll mention it later on during the week, but we got some really great stuff planned for that Saturday show. We're also going to announce the TNA Wrestler of the Year on that Saturday show, as we'll do a year-end review of TNA, let you guys know what was working, what wasn't working, what needs to happen going forward, the works. 2013, we got some really great big things planned. I'm putting out the final touches right now, but we're going to be working with a show on Blog Talk Radio, and I don't want to say the guy's name just yet or put the show out there, but it's somebody that I have high respect for. And if we do this right for you guys, we're going to try to do a two-part collaboration crossover. It's going to be something where I'm going to come on his show, and then he's going to come on my show. And if it's a real hit, if the chemistry of everything's really flowing, then we're probably going to do something for you guys for WrestleMania. But I'm trying to iron out the details right now. I'll give you a little bit more information as it becomes available. But for now, just take that for what it's worth. But we got some really big things planned in 2013. Number to call, guys, because I want to hear from you right now, 646-478-3525. Once again, 646-478-3525. Kick on back, Smile and Doubt, be live on the air. 8 minutes of showtime left. Let's go right for the juggler. Let's go to Dave from the Michigan area. Dave, you're live, my friend.
Hey, yeah, the E. Langston, I believe his name is, Big E. This week he takes on Camacho on NXT.
Okay.
So he's already booked on a match on there anyway.
Okay, good. So there's your heads up, guys. Make sure you watch NXT. Does it still come on Tuesdays, or is it what's it on now?
I get it on my Hulu on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that on Wednesday, and usually around Wednesday, sometime Wednesday morning it'll be on there.
Wednesday sounds about right, because if I'm not mistaken, the tapings is on Tuesdays, because they're doing it on SmackDown. Or actually, no.
Yeah.
No, they're doing it at Full Sail University. My bad. Yeah, they don't. No, I think at the SmackDown tapings, it's SmackDown and Main Event.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I don't know how they do it. I just know it shows up on my Hulu on Wednesday mornings or Wednesday afternoons, whatever you want to say.
Okay. Well, for you guys that don't have Hulu, go to WWE's.com website. They usually have a list of all the shows that they put out during the week. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to catch NXT on their website. Again, if you don't have Hulu, that's your next best bet. Or you might be able to catch it on their WWE Fan Nation channel. So, Dave, what you thought of Raw tonight?
I mean, it was without all the comebacks. I mean, it really was a jobber night. I mean, basically, not a lot of good wrestling. I mean, you had 3MB, I guess. If you're really a fan of them, and the whole seeing Dreamer was kind of cool again, but it was kind of weird seeing him in WWE again and actually winning. But I mean, it was okay, I guess. I mean, it was really cool. One of the highlights, I think, was seeing Ric Flair. I mean, and then the whole Santino and Tensa, I think, was funny, but seeing Flair and Triple H, it would have been kind of cool if they would have interacted. Or just think if Flair and Steamboat could have introduced the match of the year, which would have been cool, I thought.
Yeah.
And you would think with those classic matches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but last night, I mean, I thought it was a really good pay-per-view. Talking about TLC really quick.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I was just disappointed in how they booked some of the matches.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Shield, I think, went on way too early. I mean, before the Divas match, and it was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And just think if they would have started off the show with that ladder match, which, of course, they weren't with John Cena, but you could have had speculation all night, will Dolph Ziggler cash in tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping, yeah. Or like tonight, I was really disappointed because I'm getting kind of sick of waiting. You know, it's like, okay, are you ever going to cash us in? It's getting kind of annoying.
Right.
Tonight was the perfect night, and John Cena screwed it up for us.
Once again, yeah.
And it just seems like that would have been a perfect spot. And like, okay, they gave Big Show a day instead of just 45 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see a John Cena and Dolph Ziggler, when he does finally win, I can see if that feud continues to the world title even.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I'm sure I'll call in tomorrow night and check you guys out. And that Wednesday show sounds really good, too. So maybe you guys just shoot for Friday's show, too, and then you'll be all set all week.
Oh, God, no. At some point, I'm going to need some type of freaking rest. No, it ain't going to be no Friday show. Look, it's bad enough as it is. I did a show tonight, and I kind of feel a little bad about it because I actually was supposed to be doing some other stuff, or I wanted to do some other stuff. But I say, you know what? It's the Slammies. Actually, I always just said I'm going to do a show Monday, and just the fact that it was a bonus that it was the Slammies, it was like, oh, you know, I hear where you're coming from, though, Dave, and that's probably the sentiment that a lot of wrestling fans probably had tonight when they checked out Raw. here's what I have to say to that. This was really all about the Slammies. I mean, notice I say, the matches, they were pretty short. This was pretty much all about the Slammies and those couple of sweet spots where you had the Triple H coming out and you have Ric Flair. This was pretty much about those moments in the Slammies. I think it's really going to be business as usual come next week. Or actually, quite honestly, I think it's going to be back to business as usual when it comes to SmackDown, main event. They got those episodes right there. So, of course, we're probably going to get a little bit of a brief recap on who all had won the Slammies. But I think, they're going to, start stirring up some stuff on those respective episodes. And like I said, next Monday night is going to be business as usual. Thanks for that call, Dave. Appreciate it as always. All right, guys, that's pretty much going to do it. I think we did a pretty good job tonight, making another rare Monday night appearance. We always like to get when we come on here, especially if we're able to give you guys another alternative. Hopefully you appreciate what we do. If it was your first time checking out the show, you like the way we presented the content, thought it was very insightful, in-depth, hey, we'd love it if you could subscribe. All you got to do, go to blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. Click on that little follow button so you'll get those email alerts so you'll always know what shows we got planned next. And you can also subscribe to us in the iTunes, Zoom marketplaces. Just use the keywords, the RCWR Show. We'll see you guys this Tuesday night at special start time of 10 p.m. Eastern, coming on immediately right after Super SmackDown Live. Remember, that's a commercial-free Super SmackDown Live, by the way. Cover the fallout from that, get you all's reactions. That's going to do it. Till we hear from you guys later, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Y'all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. See you in just a handful of hours. Everybody take care.